Hey yo, what's good, y'all? It's your nerd, and I'm back with another conversation with a creator. And today I got Q with me. How you doing, bro?
I'm doing all right, man. About yourself?
I'm doing good as always. I'm doing good as always, bro. It's been a minute. It's been trying to get you on for a minute. I'm glad we finally could do this. This is
Yeah,
dope. Finally got to talk about what you got going on, which I'm excited for.
yeah, man. Yeah, man. I'm excited for it too. Excited to
Yeah,
be on here with y'all. I've been feeling left out the mix. Everybody, I had to feel like I'm part of the group now. You know what I'm saying? So
right.
but
Thanks. So, real quick, just introduce yourself and your combo company.
all right. Quinton January. I'm owner and creator of New Era Comics. Probably been active since about 2019. That's about it. Focus on primarily brown and minority characters, stuff like that. But I want a balance of, it's interwoven, it's organic stuff, right? So like not just doing it for the sake of doing this. It's all leading to something. It's all building towards something. Something everybody there. I I want to do that, but having it to where it's open for everybody to
Mhm.
read. It doesn't feel like it's just for us per se. I want it to be universally appealing. It's one of my main ideals. It's one of my main focuses to solve both of those issues, right?
Right.
Um, but yeah.
Hey, that's what's up. So, how'd you get started into the combo game?
So I've always been collecting comics since about it's just low key something about like 4, 3, something like that. I think my dad gave me some comics, stuff like that. And I grew up collecting Sonic the Hedgehog. I had like issue 0 to like 215 before I like fell off like during like high school and college and stuff like that. But I got tired of people in college asking me like, "You got all these comics, but like, you write them?" I'm like, "Nah, I just I just collect them." You know what I mean?
Right.
Um, then as college went on, I thought about because I went to school for law. You know what I mean? So obviously I'm not a lawyer right now. So I had some self reflecting, let some things happen, whatever. And I started listening to a lot of interviews, like iFanboy, CBR, Comic Resources, Comic.com. And I was listening to creators like Jeff Johns and Scott Snyder, just figure out how they got into it. And financial aid happened, and I ended up having couldn't go back to school. So it's that like what I'm going to do, and then I realized like, damn, I really not really good at nothing. Not like necessarily I'm not really good at nothing, but like what do I have a passion about, right? And I was like, I was looking over it, and I was like, comics has been the one constant in my life since I was yay high, right? Like, and that's grown and changed, and you start seeing like the birth of MCU and people being more receptive to receptive to that medium. Like I remember being the guy in elementary school with the textbook with the comic book in it, right? Like that's a real thing. I remember that you joke around about that kind of thing like on Disney shows and like Family Matters, but like yeah, I legit had a comic book inside of the textbook, in social studies. Work was done though. Work was done. I was just chilling. Um, but then 2019 came around, well, really like 2015. Buddy, my former business partner, guy named Jeremy Best, we're sitting there, we just talking about comics. And during that time, Zack Snyder stuff was going on and DC wasn't really doing good. And it's always this big beef between manga and, Western comics and,
Hmm.
Western comics don't sell and, Lofi is this and you know what I mean?
Right.
So that guy, my former business partner, is very much a manga person, right? Like that's all he knew growing up, right? And I was like, growing up, I think I had like a pretty good balance of like different mediums, right? So my dad put me on comics, like superheroes, right? Like that's why I think my perspective is a little different when I create some of these black and brown characters, right? Like I don't have the same story as a lot of individuals a lot of my peers, right? Like I'm seeing certain trends, threads that are constant, right? And I think
Right.
it's appropriate and and rightfully so. It's a good thing. It's not a bad thing, but like I do think we do need to progress kind of our aim per se. You know what I mean? Because like we're not at that point anymore, right? We kind of DC Marvel, they're acknowledging it, right? Like you're starting to see them acknowledge why a lot of creators got into this space, right? Like you're starting to see it now. It's not always the best kind of push, right? Like we all know, like DC and Marvel still fumble when it comes to promoting black characters or lesser known characters,
Facts.
but they're
Facts.
doing it right.
Hmm.
They're actually trying, right? So because I don't necessarily have the same story as a lot of people, I'm very aware of my privilege in a certain way, right? So it's like
Hmm.
it's telling both sides of that, right? It's not struggle stories, is like King Lion would put it, right? Right. But there is some of that in there, right? Like there's certain character, if it fits the character, then it'll be there, right?
Facts. I
That's
understand
kind
that.
of my aim. I let the writing kind of dictate who's going to be what color, with sexuality, whatever it may be. I let the story, like the power set, whatever the backdrop is, kind of mold um, my aim, right? As a writer, um, but I'm starting to see like I said, to bring it all home. It's kind of like I'm trying to tell stories that we can identify to, but it's the 60-year-old white man at the shop on Tuesday can take this and be like, this is cool, right? Like I get it. I
Right.
remember I had a guy, I used to work at Sprint, right? And I was a customer, I'm going through his phone, we are talking about it. And he hit me with a question that like not a lot of people like during interviews like this or like conversations ask me. He was like, "What makes your comic stand out? Why should I read your comic?" And I was like, "Damn, it's kind of pompous of you, but whatever." And I was like, "But legit." And I was like, I explained it to him. Like I said, this is like a maybe like 48, 52-year-old white dude, right? So I'm talking about Grey Wolf. So this is Black Batman, so to say, right? In roundabout way. So I explained some of the premise to him, and he was like, "Okay, I can see what you're doing. I see what you're doing, right? And like I like it." So I knew I was kind of on to something, if I can get that guy to kind of see the appeal of it, right? And then I just kind of like field testing over time, and kind of just seeing different walks of life at the shop, and like just talking shop with certain people. But yeah, man, definitely that.
Okay, that's what's up. I like that. I like that. So you basically been from the beginning, you've been a comic book fan, and you just been, that grew to you creating your own comics and your own heroes.
Hmm.
So
That
you
and whiskey.
also,
Whiskey was a big part of that too.
what'd
To
you
keep
say?
that like uh the weird reason we started making the company was like JB looked at me, he was like, "Let's do a company, let's make our characters." And I was like,
Mhm.
we're drinking some whiskey, and I was like, I was like, go home, make a character. I'll think about something. Cause like I wanted to write comics before then, right? Before I was making my own. I wanted to write for DC. That was the goal, right? To write for DC, not necessarily write my own comics. I didn't want to write comics like my own characters. So like I wanted to strictly write for DC. I already looked up how to do it. You build your pitches. You go to Comic Cons. You go to conventions. Got to try to get in the bar with them and try to go to parties. That's how you do it. Like Jeff Johns was like, man, I worked at a factory before he got on with DC, right? And I was like, well, damn, you know what I mean? Like, I was like, well, if it's that easy. But I remember like stories like Robert Kirkman, like I lied and said I knew about the airport to get, Tom McFarlane to the airport. You know what I'm saying? Like that's how he lied about what Walking Dead was. But it was like getting in that space, and that was my aim, just to be in that. Like I didn't want to build the responsibility of building a universe. I wanted to play in a sandbox, basically play in a toy
Mm,
box.
I like that.
But then that grew into seeing the same things you guys see, like you and other people have seen, like the disparity in like different shades of characters. Now, granted, I don't think, and it's gonna sound crazy, but like I don't think it's as bad as a lot of people play it out to be. Right? Like it is a big gap. Don't get me wrong. I'm saying that with respect, but
Right.
some of it is more so like you weren't hip to it, right? Like some people weren't hip
Facts.
to it, like right. And I think that's not the same as it not being there, right? Like,
Mm.
like I had a person in my life. Like I don't know, I really don't like the whole thing like black coded. Like Panthro is a black character, bro. Like no matter who, like I don't care what you say. Like he talks like one, he walks like one. It is, and I feel like if we take any of these mediums, and I get it, and I get like we don't have like a direct that's a brown, a black person. It's always some kind of analog, and I get it. I get that
Mhm.
part of it, but I'm like, you got to take it for what it is for that time period, right? That time period they weren't, you know what I'm saying? They weren't necessarily focused on us. Now that
Right.
we have that ability, we have that power. Now we can balance it out. But I had Panther. I had Zach Morris from no, not Zach Morris, but Zach from Power Rangers. I knew who Black Vulcan was. I knew who Black Lightning was. I had Static Shock. I knew about Milestone. Like I wasn't reading it, but I knew about it, right? Like just
Mhm.
my dad kept me informed. My parents kept me informed just in black leaders and black power, like black people that were important regardless. So I always had black heroes, so to say, right? I don't know. So I kind of take that mindset when I'm going into trying to elevate and like, push some of these characters because I don't know. Sometimes I feel like a lot of people, a lot of our peers are using what we're trying to do, like as a community, like with comics, they're pandering to us, so to say. Like it's not. I hate to say it like that, but like it's kind of like a guilt trip, so to say. Like you're not writing your character with a certain genuineness to it, right?
Right.
We could talk off screen about a certain. I give you an example, but we could talk off screen about that because I don't like. Oh, it's not me. But like the point is, like you can look at some of our peers and be like, you didn't really think about that character that deep. Like I could tell Legacy, right? Using you as an example, just talking, keeping it on me and you. I could tell Legacy had some thought put into that. It probably
Right.
came around the time you found you were having your son, right? Like it was some thought put into that. You could tell, like even from like the cover, right? Like like the choice to pick Lupe's cover for that. I can see like yeah, it was some nights you laid down. You could see it playing in your head, right? Like
Right.
I connect like out of all your characters, I probably connected with that one the most personally, right? So like I can see like even with Hellhog and a couple other ones, like you could see you took your time, like you could see the inspiration, you could see what came. Like you watch this, all right, I like that. Let me tweak this a little bit, make it my own, and change the story up. And
Right.
those are the characters I tend to like gravitate towards as a reader, in this space, right? I got pick because I ain't got all the money in the world. I got to pick and choose who Kickstarter, you know what I'm saying? Who Kickstarter I support,
I feel you.
and
I feel you.
and because I'm a competitor at the end of the day, right? Like at the end of the day, we all in competition with each other, right? Like I love
Mhm.
y'all, but same thing I told you. Like, hey, how the are you moving so many books, bro? Like, I'm sitting here like trying to get one off, right? So like, but it takes swallowing your pride and like asking your peer, like, hey man, how are you doing this? Because I'm trying to not catch up. I mean, not pocket watching, but it's like, damn, I ain't gonna lie. Now it's my Kickstarter. He done dropped like 5 in
Right.
like a year. Like, okay. And then you start thinking to yourself, like you start questioning yourself, like, am I doing this right? Am I moving right? Like, what do I need to do? And for me, it's a good thing because it motivates me, right? So it's like, okay,
Facts.
yo, drop this, and third. He working on issue twos. They ain't seen colored issues of issue 2 yet. So it's like, now granted, we're doing it differently. I'm building mine from an event, right? So it's a mini series. So like, it's not gonna be as action packed. Like you can drop, Hellhawk can just drop right into the fire, right? Like I gotta build it up. And I'm like, well, it's different journeys, different paths, but it's
Right.
like a beauty in it. And but no, that's kind of what it is, bro. Like I want to bring something to this medium that's different, that empowers everybody, that wants to get entertaining, right? But yeah, I'm rambling.
No, no, that's good, bro. I like that. You trying to carve out your own piece of the pie in the indie comic world. I like that. I like that a
Yeah.
lot. And I've been seeing what you're doing. You've been definitely putting in work. So I wanna actually talk about that for real. So I got let me share my screen with you. I want to talk about
So I'm gonna get
this
some
real
stuff
quick.
together to share as well.
So you kind of mentioned this a little bit, Event Horizon. I want to
Mhm.
talk about that. So what's up with that, bro?
Okay, so Event Horizon is basically our kickoff to our shared universe, right?
Yeah.
So in a way, it's kind of what they tried to do with Zack Snyder universe, right? Like, to do
Hmm.
Batman versus Superman and then go into a Justice League and then spin off like that. Or Dark Universe type of thing, if you read those movies during that time.
Hmm.
But on this cover, you see in the middle that is Beacon, that is our Superman, that is our flagship character, that is our beacon of our hope, that is our strongest character in our universe.
Okay.
Um, her power set, she is half human, half Tautakian. Essentially, it's attacking in layman terms is pretty much a Kryptonian. Finding out how she's connected to that, and her finding out her heritage, and finding out that she's not just human is part of the overall story, and leading into her own solos.
Mm,
Um, the character that's not on here is Mason Klein, who's kind of like our Amanda Waller, who's her father, but she'll find out that's not her actual biological father. But he knew her real father, who's the full Kryptonian Superman type ish character. But he's no longer here. So she also is the wielder of Amaterasu, right? So she's two parts Superman plus like Karama's inside her. If if you're familiar with Naruto, or maybe if you're a Yu-Gi-Oh watcher, Yugi and Yami type of connection there.
okay.
But she houses a deity inside of her. The cool part about it is that deity was tied to her, the female side of her mother's bloodline, by the Merlin, the great wizard Merlin that everybody knows, right? Which
Right.
connects her to the god standing to her left, Nero Helsing. There's a big battle during a certain period in time. Merlin had to separate supernatural stuff from the earth
Is
realm,
this
right? So
Merlin?
like
This Merlin right here?
he's related to him. That's Nero Helsing. So that's
Okay.
Merlin's great grandson,
Oh,
right? So Merlin is not something that comes into play now, but like just giving background stories for y'all, just exclusive stuff. Um, but Nero Helsing is is the grandson of the great Van Helsing, right? Doctor Abraham Van Helsing, and Merlin through marriage between their children, right?
okay.
So he's the strongest sorcerer, or magical being in our universe. Uh, Going back to that setup, it's a place called the Hollow Realm. Hollow Realm houses everything you think about supernatural stuff, right? To us, present day, horror movie, Jason, like creatures, goblins, all that kind of stuff is like myth, story, movie. That's because Merlin separated it and made it a spell. So anybody that's remaining there that had blood ties to the Hollows, or not, like if I had to use like Harry Potter terms, Muggles,
Mhm.
he separated Muggles from purebloods or whatever like that, right? Um, it was a big event basically, right? So to win the battle, he had to bring Amaterasu. In my version of Amaterasu is not she's a Japanese god, but she landed there from the space, right? She was brought there. So the Japanese kind of took her as a god because she landed on Earth, right? If that makes sense.
Right.
Probably doing a really crappy job of explaining it. Sorry, guys.
I'm
But
keeping
nah,
up
so
with you.
basically, making a long story short, Amaterasu is not Amaterasu that you think you know, right? Say it like that, right? So all of the biblical stuff that from Japanese lore is still there. It's just that's not where it starts from. That's not where she starts from.
Okay.
But Merlin knew this. So basically, uh, all the previous wielders of Amaterasu burnt up because their bodies couldn't take it, right? Because they were just normal humans. Her being a Tautagan, she'll be the first one to actually, house her. Um, how that happens is in the kickoff of this event. I don't know. If, matter of fact, you know what I'll do? I'll send you a copy of issue 1, bro. I'll send you issue 1 right quick. Matter of fact, let me share this. I'm gonna share this to you. Uh, 2 seconds. But no, to the right is Grey Wolf. That's our vigilante, our
Yeah.
Batman-ish character. That's kind of like my. So JB kind of put the architect was the architect of Beacon a little bit, right? She was supposed to be. She's our version of a shonen protagonist, but distilled into a Western style comic, right? So her comics should read sort of like a Superman mixed with like a Dragon Ball Z or a Naruto or My Hero, something of that nature, right? That's the aim. That's my goal, right? That's to write the
Okay.
stories like that. Um, but Grey Wolf is he's the richest man in our universe. Very similar to, it's a lot of similarities to a certain billionaire, but it's some major changes to that, right? One, he's a black man. So the biggest question is, how is a black man that's grew up in America, that's born in America, how is his family a 1%er, right? Well, they have Vanderbilt money, Kennedy money, that kind of Bush money, that kind of thing,
Mm.
Rothschild, so to say. So one of the biggest mysteries that you'll find out going through Grey Wolf would be where his family's money's come from. right? And where I got the ideal from was one day I was going through my family tree, and I was trying to kind of see where my like when my grandmother was born, when she passed, and stuff like that, and her mother. And I found like a link somewhere on Google, and I realized slavery, and it wasn't that long ago. Like it really wasn't, bro. Like I was like, damn, she was born here. Her mom was, yeah, she was in the thick of it, right? So I was like, I had a professor my freshman year of college, white lady, and she was teaching Black history or whatever. And she was told us a story about how when the Declaration of Independence was so like signed and stuff, there were slaves that were educated in that room with those guys, right? When the Constitution and all that stuff was put together, there were Black slaves that were educated that were there. They were some of the first philosophers, right? Of American philosophers, that is. And she was saying how, a lot of people say like the Constitution wasn't made for you, right? Like as a Black man. And some of that is true, right? But like she was saying, you did have a slight voice in there, basically. So then there's a Big Sean lyric from Dark Fantasy where he was like, they'll give you court sides at the clips, but never ownership. So I was
Mm,
like, what if you had this Black family throughout American history, every major point of it? They were there. They had an impact on it. They never got credit for being there. And one of the biggest like final nails for me to like go this way with the origin was I found out George Washington Carver didn't have the patent for peanut butter, but Clark
mhm.
Kellogg did. And it kind of messed me up. I was like, damn, they couldn't give the man peanut butter. The cereal guy got everything. So I was like, what if you had this family that like literally built all this wealth, and that led into like the gold rush and like Harlem Renaissance, and they're here right to like modern day. So the similarity of the money level, the gadgets and stuff like that is very much true. But there's a reason why his name is Gray, as in neutral personality, rather than like gray to color, right?
Mm,
It's a lot of meanings into that. We do have a no kill rule in effect, but it makes a little bit more. It's not so black and white like Batman, so to say, right? This is somebody who had parents are killed, but they're killed publicly. They're not taken out in an alley. It's something broadcasted. This is a different world. Like he's dealing with a different aspect of Bruce, like what Bruce went through, right? And
mm,
I think that's like heightened with him being black, right? This being a black family, a black. Um, then just to tease it, like, are his parents really dead? So there you go. Um,
mm.
just for some
Okay.
stuff going farther
Little
on
mystery in there.
if we get there. But Grey Wolf is my guy. Let me finish sharing this to you, bro. But no, ask you some questions while I kind of do this, man. Mm,
Yeah,
share.
Grey Wolf, his design is fire, bro. I love Grey Wolf's design. It's like it catches you right away, and it's like you definitely want to read this character when you see him.
No, I appreciate that, man. Definitely took some. He definitely was distilled from a character called Silver Dragon that was going to be pitched to DC as kind of like a Batman, like supporting character, like but he was going to be somebody that treated Bruce kind of like Bruce treated the Justice League, kind of like, bro, I don't follow your orders. They kind of did some of the stuff in Jace Fox, and I was kind of, well, DC been kind of, I ain't gonna lie, I'm not saying they've been kind of peeping my dude, but they've been kind of peeping my dude, like, and I say that because maybe I'm paranoid, but like Jace Fox happened, right? A little bit after that, they came out with a character called Grey Wolf in the Batman Incorporated series, and I was like, And I'm not saying, my name is so original, but they changed the name to Gray the color. And I was like, all right, man. Made him a
Oh, the
Russian.
great
I was like,
he
yeah, I
his
was like,
he fire though. That is his character. His joint was fire. His character design is tough.
I appreciate it. Yeah, man, it took some while. Like Martin did a great job because like I worked with some great artists. That's most important. Like I can't do anything without them. It started with Ryan. Damn, damn, tripping. Ryan Down. Okay, my bad, Ryan. If you're seeing this, but like Ryan started with that. That was the first person we approached because I had no idea how to approach anybody. I just
Right.
had ideals. And then like, I talk about it all the time. Like I feel like let's go back to me doing music at one time too. And I was like, all right, if you like my raps and I like your beats, don't nobody know you, don't nobody know me, right? I get that you want to get paid for that, but I'm in college. I don't got $300 to give you for like 20 minutes for a studio session, bro. Like, so work with me and I work with you, right? But like, we live in a world where people don't, we don't live in that community anymore, right? Like, where people believe in the goodness of people anymore. And I
Oh,
think
true.
maybe I'm naive, but I don't read I read comics for this very reason, right? Like, ask the hope in people, right? Like, believing in people to want better and be better and make the somebody to make the hard choice. I remember back to I just get off topic. I picked my daughter's godfather and his wife from a cruise one time in Galveston, and it was raining really hard. So by the time they got off the boat, it's flooded. So of course, her genius godfather decided, let's cut through the basketball court, cut through the river. I mean, cut through the flood. Now, of course, we got through the first side of the grass, but now the wheels got mud. So we go to the other side, we get stuck in the mud. But that community dragged us out of there. They hooked us
That's
up
tough.
to a truck. They got us up out of there, bro. Right? I grew up in a time where I could trust my neighbors. Right? I don't have that right now with my daughter. Right? Like, I don't. You know what I'm saying? So I read comics for that. Right? And I think that's important. That's an important facet of it. Like, we judge a lot of comics based. I see a lot of people that be like edge lords, and if it's not bloody, if it's not uber violent, and I'm like, that's good. It got its place, right? But when you talk about superhero comics, right? Like, there's certain aspects of superhero comics that got to be there, and I think this is a part that kind of got lost with the Frank Millers and the Spawn, and when that kind of got when Image kind of took off. Like, the Boys is cool. Don't get me wrong. I fuck with the Boys. Well, I don't know if I can curse. My bad. I
No,
mess with
you
the Boys, but that story can only go so far. Only so many people can consume that, right? Right?
mhm.
Like, deconstruction of superheroes is cool, but like, sometimes it's good for that good old gosh, old school. Like, that's like, think about how you felt looking at the Superman trailer. That's how comics should make you feel every time you open it up, right?
Facts.
And not saying you can't have like the witch blades and the darknesses and stuff like that, the more gritty stuff. Like, that's there,
Right.
that's cool. But when I think about comics, I don't necessarily think about that. Like, when I go to a comic shop, I don't reach for the super like absolute stuff has been great about that. Like, being a little bit darker and edgy, it's been great. But like even Witchblade now, they're the new Witchblade series are trying to like correct some stuff they did, in the '90s, but keep the same edge. And I think we got to a point to where, like, and it's in video games too, like, we're desensitized to like brightness, right? Everything has to be dark and like, I don't know, like dark and bloody and like, I don't know, like, but that's just me. That's just like kind of like my taste and stuff, right? So like, Grey Wolf is kind of like will dwell in that kind of like darker area. Like Nero is our supernatural character. He'll deal with anything ranging from King Arthur stuff to hunting down werewolves, right? Like, so, you know, the range of the genre, that's dealing with all of that kind of stuff. Like, you know, but no, yeah, that's it, bro. I'm rambling again. I think
No,
I
no.
shared the whole issue with you too, though.
Oh yeah, I definitely got the issue. I got the issue. I'm bringing it up now. But one thing I wanted to ask you, like while you're building this whole universe and carving it out, what are some of the challenges you're facing? Like I know for me, like when I was building my universe and trying to start things, was like how to tell the story and then
Yeah.
how to get my point across. Like those were some of the things challenges I was facing, and building a fan base at the same time. So, what are some of the challenges that you're facing right now, like trying to get this universe started and also pushing it out?
So right now, my main focus is just is getting my money up.
Right.
I'm trying to pay. I gotta finish paying Martin off a little bread, and then I'm gonna pass it off to Ryan to start doing colors. This car accident kind of pushed me back a little bit, but um, hopefully by no later than April, we should be announcing the Kickstarter, right? And then
Ooh,
maybe
okay.
let it run while we're doing the coloring process and stuff like that, and lettering process. Um, but the goal is definitely trying to push down number two to the Kickstarter. I think the only issues I really have come across, well, one is balance, right? I had a daughter in between starting this, right? My separation from my business partner, so that's a lot of funds. It's no longer. allocated into the situation, right? So like I had an investor at one point in time, but like I said, certain business aspects of things changed. So now it's just me solely funding everything and trying to maintain bills, and you know how that goes, bro. So like
which is tough.
goes
Yeah.
without being said. Uh but besides that, man, like if you're talking about story wise, it's just about trying. I don't believe there's no new story under the sun, right? There's no color inanimate object, color animal hybrid combination that hasn't been done in some form of capacity, right? So it's about finding and twisting, certain things. So like if you Grey Wolf technically is supposed to be, where as much as he's Grey Wolf. I mean like as much as he's Batman, it's more of that Dick Grayson s Batman, right? I came in when I started reading like hero cape stuff. It was Dick Grayson as Batman, Bucky Barnes was Captain America, like Monel was Superman, like Donna Troy was Wonder Woman, like so everybody all this hoopla about like the new Justice League and all of that good stuff. I was just laughing. Everybody was like, I don't even like the main Justice League anyways, right? So it was like they were all white though for the most part. It was a blue guy, but like I grew up in the time Cyborg was already on there. The Justice League was Starman, Batman, Dick Grayson, Donna Troy, Congo Gorilla, uh, the Blue Star Man, and like Cyborg. Like, and then like that was my Justice League. Like when I first got back into this, and and I love that part about comics that like I got so many ideals farther down the road, like mantle switches and like sidekicks and things like that. And it's like you got to get. It's like I don't know if you have this issue, but you could be writing something and then you'll think about something like just a hypothetical in your head and be like, oh man, what if like I take all the hero? Like I was thinking about like what's a way I can make it to where I can introduce a new set of heroes, right? Like the same costumes without like taking them off the board. And I was like, what if I had them like stuck in a universe where they didn't age or nothing like that? And then they've been gone for 30 years, right? Like, and now
Mm,
they had like they finally had a kid or something like that. And I was just like, it made me go down this long rabbit hole, right? And I think that's my biggest issue, staying on topic. But I mean, staying on like the goal, like for me, I think I've already mapped out like the 6 issues. I know for sure 3 and 4 are fully scripted, right? After Event Horizon, but 5 and 6 will have skeletons, not really fully scripted because I know, once you get to like you see your product and your inks, it changes your dialogue. So you got to go back and actually like you got to flow the dialogue out. So I think for me, the
100%.
only biggest issue is just like getting it done. I think I will say transparently, like I'll tell this to anybody that's listening. If you don't hit your first Kickstarter, don't let that hold you back. Right? I
Mm,
came $1,500 short of a 6,000 $1,500 short of a $6,000 goal. Right. And or 4,000. I think it was 6,000. It might have been 4,000, whatever. But anyways, it wasn't that big of a gap to, say I couldn't reach it. Now, some of that was I couldn't put as much effort into promoting it. And these are excuses, but in my head, they're justifiable. Like, I just had my daughter, like, literally, she was like 3, 4 months old. Like, it's hard for me to promote and post at 3 o'clock in the morning when I've been up for 2 days straight because she's been crying or she had
facts.
gas or whatever the situation. That is like it was like she was born in July. This like we launched the Kickstarter like in Christmas Eve. So she's only like 3, 4 months, right? So like it was that, and then I'll talk to you about that later about my business partner, but I don't know what happened with that after we launched the Kickstarter, but for whatever reason, we I haven't heard anything from him. Just say it like that, right? I haven't heard. We didn't get into it. Just no communication since then, right? So like he had a certain role in the company. So now I have to evolve to writing, to scripting, to editing, right? To am I making the right choice? And is it like I don't have anybody to like question me, so to say, right? Like
Mm.
to the point to where like I've used Chat GPT as a countermeasure to like to ask me questions like, hey, what am I missing from this? So I put this in like that's why I tell everybody like the AI stuff isn't bad. It's just bad when you try to use it for art and try to like you don't come up with anything original. But if you're using it as like an edit tool or use it as like, hey, how does this sound? Right. And they give you a couple options. You're like, well, what if I do this? Right. And they're giving you like piggybacking off stuff like that. It's helped me cover stuff that he would do. Right. Like
Mm,
when it comes to like, I'll ask a question and he'll give me feedback. right? Literally use it for that, right?
It's
Or
something to
like I'll
bounce your
ask
ideas
questions.
off of.
Exactly. That's like, or if I got an ideal and I don't know the concept, damn, oh, my kids. But like, I'll ask the concept and I'll be like, hey, how does this, how does this flow? Or like, or I'll be like, general. I've asked all kind of interesting questions on like, just kind of like trying to get a good gauge of my ideal or whatever like that. And they'll kick back some solid information, but it's how you build your AI per se, right? Think about like how Tony and Friday are. It's just like that. It's like you're building it to assist you. Like, but when it's doing all the work, that's when you get some of the stuff you see online floating around, right? Or
Right.
stuff that you've heard rumors about, right? It's a certain like so like it's like a certain organicness, but like but nah, man, it's just the hardest part was just financially balancing your money and you know I remember I reached out to Tyler Martin right before the Kickstarter, and he was just like, "Man, you know, I feel like he gave me like an ancient Chinese riddle, sort of say, what is wrong with her? Give, give me 2 seconds.
Yeah, yeah, we can pause this.
Pause for 2 seconds, bro.
All right, back. Here we go.
Yeah, my bad about that, but like, basically just balancing financials, bro. Balancing writing and not getting lost and like not doing stuff. Like there's spills, everybody can go through it, like where you don't write, and I think that's the biggest thing because it's kind of like hoops or like football or whatever sports you play. When you're not doing something, somebody else is doing it, right? So
I like that.
like you keep just being personal, like you or somebody who like, all right, man, I can't take too many days not writing, bro. Like he's writing, like I see it, right? So like I'm not working hard enough, right? And that's kind of where it comes down to. And I think it's just that, bro, like staying steady. Like so I remember I think it was Geeks Nation. They interviewed me during the pandemic, during the writer strike. Actually during the time I first launched the Kickstarter. And they were like, during the writer strike, so like, don't be surprised. They start reaching out to you and some of your peers because they're like, it's two prongs. So like, one, they're looking for more writers because like the writer that strikes, they're kind of upset with. So the big, companies don't want to hire them no more. So they're gonna be looking for new talent. And then I always say, like, especially in our media and like what we're doing, there's a war for that kind of content, right? From Paramount to Max to Netflix to Hulu to Amazon, because like basically Marvel has such a real estate on everything, right? It's kind of hard to get new content that's not a Marvel product, right? Or a DC product, or at this point, an Image product, because AMC has that pretty much on lock, right? So like, it's about that's why you're seeing like this boom in like Invincible, right? The
Mm,
Boys, right? They're on streaming sites. They're accessible. They got their like lynch points for everybody. Excuse me. But like I think that's kind of it, man. Like being consistent. Like if you're not writing, if you're not putting something out, making sure people see you. Like right now, I haven't really put out as many issues as you have, but I've been consistent on like whatever new art I do get, I'll put something out. Like I'll put a new character
right.
out, or I'll put something like, hey, what do you guys think about this? Or like, what's the character you want to see made beforehand, right? Like, and you guys aren't aware of it, but like I know why I'm asking that question. Like I'm fielding information, right? Or I'm like, all right, this person, my ideal about making this person the next person might be something. So it's just about that. Like if you can't actually physically put your comic out, be present, be learning, like read
Mm,
comics, right? That was my biggest issue with my business partner. As much as he loved manga, it was cool. But I was like, bro, for what we're doing, we're no longer just fans of this, right? Like you have to be in shops, bro. Like for any other reason to see what's hot, right? Like
right.
it's like to
See what's
see
working.
what's yeah, exactly. Like what's working, what are people responding to? And if I ask you a question like, what do you think is the best DC book? And you're telling me is all DC books are bad. I know you're not reading, right? Like
Mm,
you're not reading something because they might be bad, but it might be something that you personally like, right? Among that's why I like to say like people say comics are bad. I'm like, what do you expect when you read a book, bro? Like it's 27 pages. What are you expecting from your $4 that you're buying, right? Like that's why I go back to like the Stan Lees, the Jack Kirby's, the Danny Dickos, like they were pure in what they did because there was no fandom in it, right? I'm doing this to feed my family, right? That's why the books weren't they felt hollow, right? They weren't like these deep, enriching stories. And I go back to like Lion Man, right? Lion Man, if you go back and read some of the Lion Man stuff, it wasn't that deep, right? It was just, hey, I like comics, right? I'm just writing a comic about a person, right? And I'm doing this for money primarily. What a lot of people have done in the last 15 years, us included, we're more fans, right? We're fans of this, right? So it's kind of like mumble rappers to lyrical miracle guys. Lyrical miracle guy is going to, hey, every bar means something. It's a double entendre here. It's a reference to a song I did when I was 14 years old, something like that. But it's somebody else. It's just like, hey, person A, the person B, big comic book fight, the end. And there's a space for books like Ryan North is doing that awesomely with Fantastic Four. It's not this long 12 issue arc. It's one issue, two issue. You can pick it up, give it to somebody, and they can read a Fantastic Four series. They don't gotta know nothing about 1,000 issues before. There you go. And that has to be a thing. So like that was one of the biggest questions one of my former business partner asked me when we started doing Event Horizon. He was like, "How can we introduce these characters and do all this exposition without boring them, without showing a lot of action? We got to show action. But how can you introduce these characters with no prior knowledge of them, knowledge of it?" And one of my biggest mission statements was New 52. I don't personally think New 52 was handled that badly. It was rushed.
Me neither. I love New 52.
You know what I mean? It was rushed, but it wasn't. It was the. It could have been something really great if one fans learned to let go, right? Fans really f that up personally because you had this pre notion of what you wanted. That's why Absolute has been doing so great because we don't care what we want. If you like it, you like it. If you don't, go read the main title, right? That's
Mm.
kind of what their mission statement has been, and it's been working, right? We're gonna swing for the fences. We're gonna do it. We're gonna down this path 100%. 10 toes down. We're not gonna have stuff like we did with Future State. We're not gonna have step. We're not gonna look over our shoulder because every single person doesn't like one minute detail, right? And that's the biggest issue. That's why
Mm.
I'll never argue with X-Men fans. I'll never do it again. You guys got it, right? So like now you guys got it, man. Like hey, that's a fan base. Man. I don't mess with them, bro. They come out the woodwork. I don't even. How'd you get here, bro? You know what I'm saying? But like, um, but just it's just that, like, just being consistent, bro. Like that was the thing that every interview I've ever had with somebody about this, they've always said being consistent. When I first went to my local comic book store about, and I was just feeling the book wasn't even done. I was just like, hey, if I had my own book, what do I need to do to get it on the shelf? They were like, well, just email me a copy. If I like it, I'll buy a couple issues from you. Then we'll work something out. Blah blah blah. Go with me, right? So like, it's about learning, experiencing, failing, um, and like just watching, bro. Like I wouldn't do this if it wasn't for people like they give Task a hard time, but Task was really the first person I saw that was black, that wasn't rich, making comics, right? Like that hadn't broke through. And like he was the first person. And I was like, well, damn, if Task can do it, god damn it, I can do it, right?
Yeah.
Right. So like, and then you start seeing, and I didn't know. I was on Pinterest. Like I said, I've been building Grey Wolf and stuff like that since 13, bro. Since 2013. Like, and it was just like on Pinterest. I'm like Pinterest or Tumblr, and I'm seeing like different character designs. I'm like, oh, I like this costume. I don't like it for a Batman redesign, but I like this costume, so I'll save it. I can't draw, right? So I'm circling parts of bits and pieces of it. Like, I'm all right. This suit, this suit, this suit. That's how you got Grey Wolf suit. It's I love is Batman. It's really Dick Grayson, Batman. I mean Bruce. It's like Green Arrow shortly after that, right? Like I love hoods. As you see, you will never see me without some sort of hood on, right? Um, so I knew a hood had to be there, even if it didn't functionally make sense. I knew that that's the superhero part of it, right? I knew I didn't want a cape, right? Because I didn't want too much of the same thing, right? Right. I was like, I kept thinking, no capes. You know what I'm saying? From like Incredibles, right? Ida, right? So like these are the things that shape. I don't know, like you ever watched superhero Sky High? There we go.
Sky, the little the Disney joint with the high
Yeah,
school.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
That I feel like was one of the best superheroes, like one of the best superhero content ever created. Like,
Mm,
not because it's so deep or some like enriching story, but look at the heroes. Look at the detail to their like their power sets. Like for a high school backdrop of a show, right? Like
right.
a League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, right? Where it's nothing like the books, but they got Namina, they got Mina, the vampire. They got Mr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. They got Dorian Gray. You had this supernatural type of Justice League, so to say, and it was like it was all the literature characters, and I was like, well, that's amazing. That's fire to me, right? Like that's where like that battle I told you about previously with Merlin comes from. Like that's inspired that particular scene. Whenever that is, shown to the public, it's a pivotal moment in our creation of our universe, right? Like
Mm,
in the setup to everything once it's fleshed out. We'll probably see that maybe like in issue 5 or 4. I think that kind of gets a little more touched on, if I'm not mistaken. Um, but to boil it down to, bro, like it's just I think my biggest thing is just saying consistent and not like beating myself up because my pace isn't like the next person's pace. Right. I
facts.
think that's the
Everybody
big
got their own pace. Everybody
yeah,
moves at their
man.
own
Like
pace.
and then, just learning. That's kind of it.
Bad. So I got Event Horizon issue 1 up. What page did you want to share? I don't want to accidentally share something that you
Let's
don't want people
see.
to see.
Um, let me see. Let me see. Let me see.
And the artwork is
We
dope, bro.
can
I really like the artwork.
yeah, that's Martin Kimona, man. Like Martin that came through like a blessing in disguise during the pandemic. Of course, like Ryan himself is not a traditional comic book artist, right?
Mhm.
He's a graphic designer. So whereas to like if you go to the very bottom, that first cover at the very end of the book, Ryan drew that one, and then
At the very
Martin
end. Hold
redrew it
on, I
for the
got you.
main character. So uh Ryan was literally teaching himself and like coming up with these like designs from scratch, right? Based off what I'm talking about. And Ryan and Martin hit me up like just kind of looking for like, yeah, this is a cool page too. Um, I think if you want something that's actual story based, maybe like um page what is this? One, two, page 3 is actually a pretty good page to show too as well.
All right, so I'm ready to pull up page 3. I'm ready to share with everybody.
Mm,
Um, here we go. And here's page 3 from Event Horizon.
okay. So what you got here, and this is get the rest of this on the Kickstarter when the book comes, but basically, this guy right here is alien, a Swiftian. His name is Recule. He's being chased and pursued by the bad guy on the front cover, right? Guy named Legion. His forces are chasing after him. He's stolen a very important fragment, the thing that's glowing in his hand. If you see, right,
Right here.
to the second page, right there. Yeah. So that is 1/3 of the thing called the Evo Totem. Um, you'll find out more about that, but that ties in back to Merlin. It ties into a lot of different stuff. So it's 3 pieces of it. One piece is already in Legion's forehead. He was born with it. It's one reason why he feels like he's entitled to the universe and why he's a very much a Frieza inspired character, right? Um,
And you
very
said
Frieza or fake.
that's
Hmm?
the villain on the front cover.
Yep.
Okay.
Um, so Legion and his forces, you'll start seeing more of his like his generals and stuff like that. They all have different issues with some of the collective. The collective is what we call our 7 founding heroes. But yes, this fragment right here on his forehead is the first piece. The other 3 other pieces, I don't want to spoil too much, but the second piece, basically saying Legion, he had the second piece basically, but Recule stole it from him. He was actually being captive at the time, so he broke free. uh, how he lands on Earth is part of that whole first issue, stuff like that. And his landing on Earth is what jumpstarts everything, right? From Beacon getting her powers, Nero getting involved. Nero is definitely somebody who's not the heroic type. He is not Beacon in any form of facet. He is about drinking and an explicit word, right? Drinking and getting the ladies, right? So he is he is definitely that guy. I would say if you watch Vampire Diaries or dabbled with it, he's very Stefan Salvatorish. I don't want to say Tony Starkish. I would say more Gambit, if anything, personality wise.
Okay.
A lot of his stories are going to take place in like the Hollows or in New Orleans. He's going to deal with a lot of like I said, magical stuff like that. But he's connected. His side of the story is big when it comes to the third piece of that fragment. I'll say it like that. Um, and like I said, that's pretty much that is the premise of the book. We're going to follow Recule throughout this course of this journey, right? It gets to a certain point if you follow us on Instagram. You should already know where Recule's story ends at. There's some information there about kind of what he turns into or what he helps turn into. The one thing that's cool about the Swiftians, they have a very Namek like situation where like they give their life essence to each other, and
Mm,
they become, in their case, faster, right? So um, when somebody dies or somebody's too morally injured, they like they pass on their life force to somebody else, and it's something they've never done outside their own species until maybe this issue. I mean, maybe to this story, right? To how the story starts. So then we're going to maybe see a Swiftian bond with something else and create something that we've never seen before.
mm,
Uh, if you're on Instagram, if you pull up the Rush, Recule is one half of the hero, the Rush. Um, so got a little minute till you meet him, but like we debuted how he looks, and his first design or whatever, like first drawings or whatever. Um, it's a speedster dude. So if you're on my Instagram
this
page,
is Rush, right?
yep. So he is one half of Recule and a guy named Levy Lee. Uh,
Mm.
so yes, I wanted a speedster that wasn't a pretty speedster. I wanted somebody. I wanted a hero that had to deal with like the beast situation. Like
Yeah,
my
what's up with the
powers actually.
speed?
Go look at Recule. So go look at Recule's feet, and then something like Ben 10,
Yeah.
his like speech form, his speedster like monster, his alien.
Hmm.
It's kind of loosely, it's part of the design a little bit.
Okay.
So but like I said, they merged their DNA. Basically, he's not human, he's not Swiftian, he's something totally different. But like I said, they're the Rush is interesting. Make a long story short, it's very Green Lantern. It's a very Green Lantern type story there, uh, but a speedster story. That's the best way I could put it. His origin, I could say it's like a Green Lantern origin, but it's a Flash story basically, with a little bit of Blue Beetle in there too. Uh, I like Rush a lot. Think he's an interesting character. He's somebody I can't wait. Secondly, his part is already kind of his scenes are already written out. I just didn't put it into like an actual story format yet. But no, I think people will like him a lot. Actually, his design was probably the hardest out of all the heroes to like kind of nail down. His was always the hardest because it was like we had to figure out a way. I had to figure out a way to explain like him merging. He got like the exo skin of like the alien type skin, but it's like an exoskeleton, so to say. Like it's an armor, but it's his actual
Mm,
skin type of thing. And then he can transform out of that into himself. But when he transforms, he has to actually use the Tautaki inside the DNA. And with that, story wise, everything that Recu knew about Legion and the stone or the fragments or whatever, he'll have the same consciousness of it as well, right? So like it goes back to that question I was saying. I think that's what I was talking about before we got cut out. Was when it came to New 52, it's about explaining these heroes without giving so much of like exposition dump, right? Something quick
hmm
and easy to kind of flow with. and his was kind of like the hardest one to kind of do without so much explanation done. But like I was like, well, if he has the same consciousness, he keeps the consciousness of Recule, then he'll kind of already kind of know how to use the powers a little bit, right? He'll kind of know what's going on with the story. He can give that information to other different heroes. So we've had different ways to kind of play around with keeping this quick. I want these issues to feel quick. If you read, like I said, you got the pleasure of reading, check it out when you get a chance. But the idea was supposed to be quick and engaging enough with enough meat on the bones to be like, all right, I'm ready for number two. And get into number two and then kind of go with it. I don't mind gonna get into like super wordy, super enriched kind of stuff until we get to solos, right? Because right now, like I was telling somebody the other day, I think, matter of fact, it was you. You made the comment about matter of fact, we'll talk to you about it. We're gonna talk about it because you made the comment about how Black Lightning had that much time in Justice League, right? The
Facts.
other day. And true enough. But I always say like Justice League is a hub book, right? So like it's not gonna get you're gonna see your favorite heroes, you're gonna see heroes in there, but
Hmm.
like you can't spend that much time with them, right? Like you generally can't, right? Because like whereas to me and you came from Black Lightning, somebody else came from Wonder Woman, somebody else came from Batman, and so on and so on and so on.
Right.
So that's why I think DC's done really, really good with this new initiative. Because like now you have these solo books
Exactly.
directly tied, right? And
And
that's kind of what I'm
that's
doing.
one thing I said. So that's one thing I liked about that. So I was mad about him not being in the Justice League book, but I was cool with him. I was cool with that because we get his own
Yeah.
book that shows what he does actually with the Justice League to the point where
There's a
the
reason
Justice
why he
League,
wasn't there because of the solo book.
because he was
Same
doing
thing,
his
like
own stuff. Yeah.
exactly. But you're seeing him now. Granted, it's not like I said, it's not like oh shit, like he got like 4 or 5 pages. I think that's coming. I think right now you got to set the tone. Like I've been loving the Challenger of the Unknown book, been loving it. But then like their second issue ties into Aquaman issue 1, right?
Mm.
And I was like, well, this makes sense. Now, granted, they fucked the scheduling up some, right? Where like, Justice League came out and then Aquaman came out, then the Challengers Unknown came out. If that schedule was like executed a little bit better, it'd have flowed a little better, right? But that's kind of what I'm trying to do here, right? So like some of these issues aren't gonna feel like you got to see the what the title or the cover is showing you. But there's gonna be action in every book, some form of action in every book, right? It's gonna be something to latch on to and every single thing. Not a lot because we got to get there. We got to get to like 7, 8, issue 9, and that's when this is going to be balls to the wall. Floor to metal to the floor. Just action and it kind of pushing the story around. Like now, I kind of got to get you introduced to the character. I got to kind of make you care about him, so to say. But I don't want to spend too much time trying to tell you like, this person's great. Here you go, boom. Like if you look at issue 2, there's no, issue 1, I'm sorry. There's a page that clearly explains kind of like what I told you about the bonding of Amaterasu. You see the moment, you don't know it, but the moment's there, right? Like, man, if you look at it, like, bet. And then if I show you issue 2, it pays out. Because what I'm trying to do with the storytelling is issue 2, the way issue 2 ends, it's like you're seeing the events of issue 1 unfold, right? So you'll
Mm.
read it and tell me how you think about it. Like, just kind of like the pacing, the storytelling of it, right? And then if you go into issue 2, it's the same type of inverted storytelling, and then so on and so on and so on, man. And it's kind of all kind of trying to converge at the same point. If that makes sense. That's
No,
what
I
I'm
get that.
trying to do. I don't know if I'm executing it, but that's what I'm trying to do. Right. So I'm trying to do. All right. Because I ain't gonna lie, like I'm sitting there, like I'm reading like issue 3, and I'm like, damn, I put a timestamp. I don't know what time this is happening in. Like, so like it is a pain in the ass to do. I'm not gonna lie to you. So if you're gonna do that kind of story, damn sure keep your notes. But nah, man, it's just that like this is Event Horizon is literally like a team book. So I'm trying my best to give everybody enough shine, both
Mm.
out of costume and in costume, right?
Mm.
Like because that's important to me. Like Hawkeye, Matt Fraction book is like a big inspiration. Like heroes don't superhero books are not about the costumes or necessarily the fight scene. It's about the everyday life. If you can master that part of it, then your book is gonna it's gonna be clear sailing because anybody can tell a fight scene.
Mm.
right? For the most part, yeah, for the most part, anybody can tell like conflict, right? But it's the personal stuff, right? That the inner monologue. I go back to Legacy. The scene where him and his father's talking in dojo, right? And he's thinking like, man, we could do so much more, right? Like it's those panels that do a lot more than the actual fight scene, than the actual convenience store like incident. Like
Yeah,
that
it builds the
was
story and the character more.
exactly that was heightened by you putting the time in and effort to show this relationship in this facet, show why the father feels this way, why he feels this way, right? And I think we get so bombarded with the flash, you forget the substance, right? I
Mm.
think that kind of boils down my point. And I think, but yeah, kind of rambling, bro.
So, so
But
with like you said, you said your first Kickstarter you failed, but you're gonna do a new Kickstarter. So what
yeah,
are
so in
some
that
of the
one,
things that you're gonna do differently for this new Kickstarter that you could have did with the first one to help this one be successful?
well, this time we're gonna go with Kickstarter and not Zoop.
Okay.
I went the Zoop route because they were a little more hands-on. They kind of did more of the legwork for you. I had a Kickstarter like I had like I had it all filled out, but I didn't launch it or whatever, right?
Hmm.
But the podcast I listened to and the creator, they were like, Zoop this because it's strictly for comics, right? Like it's strictly made for comics. They're gonna make your promotion for you and stuff like that. And they take I think they, I don't know if I don't want to lie. I think I want to say take a lesser percentage out than Kickstarter, whatever. I could be wrong, but it was interesting. Well, I mean, but we're gonna have the issue 1 and 2 is the hoodies, like bookmarks, posters. But no, man, just same thing. Both it's gonna be 2 issues, gonna be 2 books. The same hoodies and t-shirts and stuff like that that I was trying to promote on that Kickstarter. I think I'm just gonna be more persistent, right? This time I'm gonna be doing a lot more legwork with like my local comic book shops and trying to kind of like drop stuff all over there. Um, but like I said, I had pretty good traction. I think Kickstarter is a bigger platform. They see
Definitely.
more. Uh, I'm seeing more. I'm seeing people have success on there. I think the biggest thing is the right goal, right? So I think we talked about it on the timeline. Like I want to kind of have the book done before I go ahead and like launch it. So like now I can just focus on while that's going, I have a certain project. Kickstarter, man, like I said, the 2 issues, hoodies like the not this not a good example because it's all worn out, but like hoodies, sweatshirts, um, I'm still something that you did. That I got from you. I'm still that from you. Like the little not the post. It's not a bookmark, not a poster, but like 8x10 type of thing. Joint like
Yeah,
this you had like in the package.
the pictures. Yeah,
Something like that. I have stickers printed out already. I had a bunch of those made, back during the pandemic, like Chibi. I have an artist named Funky Arts. She's a good artist I work with at Amazon. Worked with her for like 6, 7 years. She does a lot of different art type stuff, but it's like a chibi style art, right? Anime-ish. So I was like, oh, that's kind of cool. I have like all the main heroes in their chibi form and stuff like that. And that can be like a sticker. But damn, it's on my laptop. I can't really show it to you. But yeah, that's pretty much it. I'm learning, I'm stealing ideas from you guys and stuff like that, and kind of trying to see, how to put a good package together. I think my biggest worry, I think if everything, my biggest fear is not fulfilling everybody. If I am successful, I'm so anal about wanting to fulfill on time,
mm,
right? Because I think I have somebody, man, I've been waiting for like 6 months. Like, and like I said, I don't really know the going like how that works. I probably didn't read the fine print very well when I backed it or whatever. But like, I want it to where like when I do it, I want you to have the book as soon as possible, right? Like I don't want it to be like you gotta wait for me to put it together. I feel like the book, just me personally, my personal philosophy, I want it together and then go through that process of seeing everybody trickle in like that and then just fulfill it, put my order in once I get all my like, backers or whatever. But when that time comes, I got a few people that I want to look into the like actions to like either help me run it or like show me how to manage it better, kind of thing. But yeah,
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, thank you for coming on, bruh. Is there anything you want to before we head out here? You want to promote? You want to say to the people? So anything want to tell them about you? Where they can find
Um,
you?
I'm on Instagram. I am on TikTok. I am on Facebook. We New Era. New Era's on Facebook. No, we have a good page on Facebook. We're on Instagram. Me personally, I'm on every. I think I'm on every social media platform, bro. Like if you, it shouldn't be hard to find me if you're really looking for me. Um, I think I'm gonna. I plan on doing a lot more like similar content than what you're doing now with like reviews and just giving your 2 cent, just to make myself more visible, right?
Yes, definitely.
I think that is one thing I am lacking in. I'm trying to be vocal in like in the indie group and stuff like that, but I think that's one of my biggest issues. I am not as vocal. I'm not in live streams a lot. I'm not talking a lot. I know it's a fundamental flaw as who I am as a person. Like I'm not saying I'm not sociable, but it's just like
Yeah, because I
I
see
just
you
put my
talk
head.
on Twitter. Yeah, you always talking
Yeah,
on Twitter about DC and stuff. All you gotta do is just get on camera. I know it's a lot, but
yeah,
just same things you say on Twitter, just put yourself on
yeah.
camera.
It's just like I did it for like so when I played 2K a few years ago when I played 2K like in leagues, I was getting on and dropping like tidbits on Periscope about like how to run a good team and esports stuff like that. But like
Mhm.
it got tedious and then like
They do.
it's just life. But like I think that's gonna be one of the main things I'm focused on doing this year is one getting to conventions. Um, it's all about timing for me right now though. Like I don't want to do something or commit to something and like I hate like I said I hated being late today, right? I hate committing to something and like having to audible or like it hurts something else. So like this is why issue 2 is taking so long to come out. And Martin has some, Martin did some things on his own. And I like I said, Martin's been so good at like just doing like he does so much free art for me and like just on the G and like just he's been so understanding with financial and payment and stuff like that. It's like I have to give him that same grace to take care of what he got to take care of. And if that
Mhm.
takes him, it means because normally he'll give me 3 pages a day, if he got the time, right? Like, but like, hey man, sometimes he needed like 2 months. I think one time he told me his hand was hurting. I was like, hey man, rest. That's $1 million hand right there. Get your
Right.
rest, bro. You know what I'm saying? Hey, whatever, bro. It's cool. I'm not stressing about it because I feel like this. I feel like once I do drop, right, so to say, once I do drop, it's gonna be consistent after that. I think once we're going, once I see it trickling, once I not say a turn a profit, but once I start seeing, okay, now I see it moving. I got traction. Like I think the next major step is the conventions, the actual Kickstarter, and the website. The issue with me and the website is that I just haven't found anybody that I can just sit there and work with to do the website. Like I know Fiverr and stuff like that, but like it's always seemed kind of shady. Like it's always some dude from
Exactly.
like some random country, and I'm like with barely information there, right? And it's like, okay, like I need some more information than just you're a graphic designer or whatever. Like show me some clips or whatever like that. So I'm trying to find, I'm reaching out to people about who can build websites. Probably reach out to you about who made yours. Um, but I think that's what I need next is that, and then handle copyright stuff like that after that. But for the
Okay,
most
that's what's
part,
up.
just that. I just dropped a new character today, Eighth Wonder. He'll be somebody that's debut. He's he's major after all of this, right? But he's an interesting character. I think I like him a lot. He's somebody I'm debating if I want to do a solo series on him, but that and I'm working on my manga, Battle Ball. Anybody that loves manga, loves basketball, holler at me. I'm trying to build something with that, and I think it's a dope concept. It's kind of like one part Naruto, one part like a sports manga. Um, it's just shonen sports manga. That's how I kind of put it. So I'm trying to find a way because I ain't gonna lie, like I always want to get into like sports manga. It was about like they always look kind of cheesy, and then it's like especially the basketball ones don't have
I
enough
feel
black
you.
people in there for me to feel like this is a legit basketball story, right? And I not real talk, bro. I'd be like,
No, that's real. I feel you.
I
I feel
get
you
it.
on that.
Like the soccer ones go off. That makes sense. Japan got hella soccer players. Go off. Volleyball, hella Japanese volleyball players. But I only see like, and then they were the bad guy team. No, I'm not feeling that. Right. So
Right.
I'm not feeling that. Right. So um that's kind of that's my focus. And then like I said, I'm trying to get ahead of like issue 3 is written already. It's already kind of scripted. So once Ryan starts coloring, Martin's gonna start drawing issue 3. So in a perfect world, the Kickstarter's running, right? We're finishing up issue 2. Issue 3 is being drawn, and I'll be writing issue 6 at the time. In a perfect world. But that's really it, man. Just if you guys want to talk comics, talk shop, ask me any questions. I love people asking me questions about the heroes, bro. Like the more y'all ask me questions, the better I get at this kind of thing, right? Like
Mhm.
without like having to and ah and stump through stuff. But no, man, I appreciate the time, bro. I appreciate your patience. Um, Kind of had to see my crazy family for a little bit. Um, Daughter tripping upstairs. I gotta go see what she talking about, man. But now I ain't gonna waste too much more of your time. But like I said, I appreciate you putting me on your platform, man.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you for coming on, and I'd love to have you on again another time. We can talk, just talk pages, talk characters, just shoot the shit for real.
Yeah, whenever, man, just let me know. I'm always down for this. Especially till about March. My schedule. I got 2 jobs, so I work at Amazon at night. That's only Thursday through Saturday, so like my schedule's a little more open up to about maybe middle of March.
Mm,
And after that, it's gonna be grind time. It's gonna be grind time about summer. Um,
Max.
but nah, man, just let me know. We'll plan something out, bro. I love this kind of stuff. I want to do something where like I want you, me, Rollover. I don't know if you talked to him on the last timeline. My guy AJ, and I want a few other creators and like just different. Us for the comic book side, them from the media side, even you for media too as well. But talk about like your experiences working with people, right? Or like networking. And I think that's something really like, big to talk about because it's hard to do when you're first starting out, right? Like you want
Definitely.
like that conversation is really weird. Like, hey man, I like your artwork. You know what I'm saying? You want to draw my
Right.
stuff? Like, how much do you pay? And like I've had so many different interactions with people. Like, I ain't gonna lie, I had an interaction with a guy recently for the manga. And the dude had some pretty good credentials, right? Like Lucasfilms, Marvel, IDW. That's cool. Now, granted, bro, I sent this message not respecting a response very quickly, right? I was not expecting it as quickly as I got it, right? And we're talking about it. And I pitched him the ideal. He's like, I like it. Okay, cool, bro. That same week, I just bought a new washer and dryer, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like that's like 2 bands out the pocket. And he was like, I wanted. Only reason I contacted him was I wanted him to draw my main character, right? And I was like, I wasn't even talking about right now, right? I was just kind of trying to gauge like your commission rates, right? Kind of like so I can game plan when I do come to you, right?
Right.
And he was telling me the prices, and I was like, I could do 250. I ain't broke. I could do it. It's just I'm gonna be hurting. You know what I'm saying? Like it's taking out stuff that what if something happens type of thing, right?
Right.
And I told him, and then like, I emailed him, and I was like, man, I don't know if you can get this email. So I was like, hey man, I'm gonna send you a DM on, Instagram so I can voice it to you so you can hear context to what I'm saying, right? Like now, granted, I ain't gonna tell nobody to do no free work, but anybody I work with artist wise has told me, hey, I'm gonna draw this. You can either pay me half up front or upon the first view of it. Cool with me, right? I'll give you half, get started. And then, they give me 1 or 2 redos, right? And then I pay the whole amount, the second half, and once it's finished. He wasn't feeling that, bro. And I was just like, bro, like I don't know you like that to just, you know what I mean? Like I get it, you know what I'm saying? But like I just if you don't give a damn about me, then bro, like how can I give a damn about you, bro? And it's like us in this space, bro. Like there's a lot of people who have platforms like yours that say they're about indie creators, but it's only indie creators with motion.
Mm.
And I think that's the difference between what you're doing. Everybody don't got the same motion, right? Like you talk to some people with motion like concrete and stuff like that, but like I don't have as much motion as y'all do, right? Like it's not. But you're giving me this platform to where those who do have motion can pay attention to me, right? Or something
Right.
like that. And then maybe help me along or hey, give me a tidbit. But there's certain people, I ain't gonna call them out, but it's a lot of people who say that they got deals with DC now and stuff like that. But that's it. You know what I'm saying? That's exactly what it is. Like some people use this as a tool to get to something else, and they have a guise of why they do it, but it's not really that same guise. If that makes any sense, right? It's
No, I
it's,
get what you're
it's
saying.
man, it's a surface level thing. And that might be a little salty on my part because maybe I reached out to this individual and they kind of read my message, didn't say nothing back, so they didn't even give me an acknowledgement. I could be salty, right? And I acknowledge that, right? I understand that, but also I feel like at this time, this person didn't have that much motion either to just attract the female. But neither here or there. Um, but that's kind of what that is, bro. And I feel like that's a big conversation to have when it comes to like our particular side of this like side of this is like the actual networking part. Like you look at a Scott Snyder or like a Tom King, they got their artists. It's like their best friend. Like they've been in the trenches for the longest. Like you and Pitch Comics do a lot of work together, right? Like I'm assuming that's somebody you're gonna work with for a while because y'all have a
Right.
relationship or
Hopefully. Hopefully, yes.
right?
I
You know what
love
I'm saying?
working with them.
Right. And same thing with Martin, like same thing with Ryan. Like I'll never not give Ryan work because there was a time where you were the only person that would work with me, right? Like you gave me a good rate. Like there was a time Ryan was drawing, concept design, coloring, lettering, and learning on the fly. Yeah,
Hmm.
you deserve that $700 a page almost, right? Like you're doing literally everything. And then I realized, oh, I pay him this, I get a letterer, I get this, and I get that, right? And then it's just like, you know, I was talking to one of my followers, and he's an editor with some credentials, and I was like, man, I can't afford you right now, but like issue 3, I might need you because I'm tired of editing my own shit, bro. Like I'm tired of it. And then I also need somebody to tell me, hey, dollar, this is not good, right? Like
Right.
or like not like the dialogue could be better because I'm a big dialogue guy, right? I'm not saying there's people who support somebody who dialogue is terrible in their comics, bro, but they are the loudest person in comic community, and you probably know who I'm talking about. But like, if you read their books, and I don't know, that's a competitor in me again, right? I'm not trying to hate, but it's like, damn, I know that you couldn't have thought this was good, right? Like, who is this for, right? And it's kind of how I'm thinking. And I was like, he's like, get these hands, and I was like, you wrote that, you wrote that in a battle scene. Bet this ain't gonna be that hard for me. I know I'm gonna be good. You know what I'm saying? Because like I don't know if it's trying to be ironic, but I don't know, bro. Like it's just like there's so much crazy shit, bro. With some of our peers put out there, and I'm like, they should think about it, dog. Like, and it's because, and I want to say that because some of us, myself included, some of us won't be solo entities anymore. Like 10 years from now, some of us are gonna have to join with other people and fold together to build something bigger, right? Some of our heroes are not universe holding on. They're not Superman. They're not Iron Man, right? And you're gonna need, let's say, hypothetically, 615 concrete. After beers and bullets do what they do, that universe becomes a thing now, right? But then it's like that balance of finding out who's gonna be what, whose hero's gonna be in what positions, things like that. But I feel like that is the direction almost all of us are on, right? Like us being individuals, it's only gonna get us so far when it comes to fighting the Booms, the IDWs, the Marvels, the DCs. For us to be like that, it's gonna have to be that milestone type of thing, if that makes sense, right? Like was all
No, I
that
get that.
that image thing, right? And it's cool now because everybody's building their portfolios up now. But I don't feel like 10 years, 20 years from now, it's gonna be as many indie publishers as it is right now. It's a new one every goddamn day, right? And that's good. I mean, like I said, I'm not saying that to say it's a bad thing. I'm saying that to say like that one person with that one obscure type of characters you made, maybe he can't hold a universe, but maybe if you prop him up with a new era universe or a 615 universe and play them off those heroes, you got like, for example, Blue Beetle. Blue Beetle wasn't that great at Charleston Comics, but he was a notable hero. But when Charleston got bought by DC, now you can see Peacemaker and Blue Beetle propped up more in a bigger stage, right? Angela, or like, for example, Angela jumping from, I don't know if we can talk about No Gammy anymore, but like, Angela jumping from Image and Spawn to Marvel, like she's played up a little differently with the backdrop of Asgard as her things to the heaven, right? So it's just that kind of thing. So it's like I'm always looking for, not saying I'm scouting, but I'm always looking for partnership. If that makes sense, right? Because I don't think I can make New Era Comics as big as it should be by myself, right? Like
Facts.
I don't think any one of us can make what we lay down our head and we're writing and we're listening to our music and we're writing these stories, what we envision for our career. I don't think ends up us being just strictly indie releasing Kickstarters and things like that. It has to be bigger than that. It has to be more of a on the front page type of thing. Like you start seeing it with like Harriet Tubman, the Demon Slayer or Vampire Slayer. He has his books on shelves now, right? It took a while to pump that. We got a Disney deal out of that. Uh, no, Antagonists finally are on shelves now. Antagonist has been out for 3 or 4 years now, right? Now he has spinoffs, but like the actual Antagonist series is now on shelves. The goal is that, but some of our content is not going to be something that's going to be like this everlasting green tree, if that makes sense, right? And I
Right.
think some of us will have to have that uncomfortable conversation with ourselves when it comes to us continuing down this path. Like I have it myself. Every time I create a character, I'm like, is this character worth it? Right? Like, is it bringing something? Um, but yeah. But all that to say, hey, y'all can find me on Twitter, man. I'd be talking my shit on there. There you go. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes I might say something that rubs some feathers wrong, but I swear to God, I always from a good place. Always from not a place of malice, but just, sometimes some like what they say, real stuff's gonna last, all that BS is gonna fade away.
Yep.
That's kind of how I feel about a lot of just a lot of stuff in comics in general, right? Like some of it is fluff, some of it is for show, some of it is for you to get the kudos of saying that you did something, but
Mm.
like mm, not the actual substance to what you actually call yourself doing. I got an example of this that'll make more sense, but gotta tell you about it off camera because I don't want to, but I'm pretty sure I'm almost guaranteed if you know the person I'm about to talk to you about, if you saw their stuff, what I'm about to say makes total sense, bro. Because it's like you're not doing the thing that you think you're doing genuine. Like it's not a genuine thing. You're doing it because it sounds good, but it's not a. You can't tell me this is the story that you want to tell. You can't tell me that. And but like it'll make more sense when I actually tell you what the situation is. But that's it, bro. I don't really have nothing else to say. Kickstarter coming. Bear with me. We'll get it done. Martin's done. Issue 3 is coming. I'm gonna be more consistent. I promise y'all. I'm gonna catch up with 16, man. I promise y'all. Just give me some time.
Hey man, we all move at our own pace, bro. And I love what you're doing, and I love watching. And I'm a fan. I can't wait to see everything that you continue to do in the
Appreciate,
future.
appreciate that. I appreciate that, man.
But all right, man. Thanks for coming on.
All right, bro.